My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And we're back with week 3 trace of Kingdom of Ash, chapters 41 through 60. And I am excited to dive into this, but I'm going to give you guys a warning. Don't love where this one ends. It's gonna be...
Is it sad?
Kind of. It's like... It's not a cliffhanger if you've read it, but it's like the worst possible time. Like, I just want to keep talking about what is happening. I don't want to stop in the middle of the scene in the book. But alas, that's where we're at.
Hey, have you seen that reel? There's like this group of girlfriends and they kill me. Every time I see them pop up on my feed, I die inside because it is so funny. But they recently, I think you did see it because I think I saw that you liked it, but it was like they were doing a book club on Pride and Prejudice, and they're like, when nobody has read, and they're like,
oh my
what should we
gosh,
start
yes.
with, the Pride or the Prejudice?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I've seen a couple of their videos. That one was my favorite though, for sure.
Yeah.
Of the ones that I've seen.
It's so good. But that is what I thought of when you're like, we end on kind of like a, I don't know, cliffhanger or whatever, because I'm like, can you tell I haven't pre-read the chapters? I'm just here for a good time.
You're just along for the ride. No, but you read the book, so like you know what's going on. You just might not realize that's where it's gonna end today, and that's okay.
Isn't everyone that how it always goes every week for me? I'm like, they did what? Oh, I must have forgotten.
What part of the book was that in?
Was that the Pride or the Prejudice?
Was that the Kingdom or the Ash? I can't remember.
Literally, yeah.
All right, well, we are launching a Patreon next week, October 2nd. So sign up for that. Our book club episodes will be moving to Patreon moving forward after our Kingdom of Ash episodes are done. So don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging with the last 2 episodes. Those will continue to be published normally and everything through the 16th of October. However, we are launching on the 2nd. You heard me correct. So in the meantime, we have 2 bonus episodes that will be uploaded on Patreon in the meantime. So there still will be content for you to have access to. Plus, by signing up early, you will be able to vote on the book we do next for our book club. So we have a couple options already. The poll will be in the Patreon, so you will have to join to see what the options are.
Love that.
Yep. And we are excited to do more fun and intimate stuff with our Patreon community. So
yeah, speaking of fun and just Patreon community, if you join early, you get first dibs on having us read your scary short story. What's the scary short story about if this is your first week here? It's time for you all to become noted authors. We want you to write in a scary story for our Halloween episode. And it can be anything. It can be a real story that happened to you. It can be based off of a story, loosely based off a story, or complete fiction. It can be about mermaids and vampires. I don't care. Just scare me.
I was just about to say, I just want to have chills. That's it.
Just want full body chills.
I want to have nightmares. That's what I want. Just kidding.
So if you write in your story, those who are on our Patreon and submit first, we will read first and you'll get first dibs. If your story is chosen for us to read on the episode, we will send you a sticker. And if yours is the winner out of all of the stories we read, you get a full L.A.M.E Book Club Pod goodie bag. Yep. So very exciting stuff.
So bring your A game, everyone.
Yeah. Also, Melissa and I just recently found out that we have already picked our own costumes to reveal to each other on that episode. It'll be a first-time reveal. You'll all watch our initial reactions, and I'm telling you right now, mine cannot be topped. I think it is maybe the funniest thing you'll ever see on the internet.
Last Halloween was our first Halloween with a podcast. So I say it's our annual Halloween episode. It's like the second. It's literally the second. But will be moving forward a tradition. So last year, honestly, we decided to do it 4 days before the episode. We're like, let's dress up and not tell each other. And so I scared Ellie, quite literally. Go back and watch that one, honestly, if you haven't, because it was so funny. Impressive, really.
Before we even took off as a podcast, people all over YouTube were like, this is so freaking funny. Because that girl's just orange, just having a full conversation.
Here's a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. My entire body was orange, and half the comments were, I have no idea what this podcast was about because I couldn't stop staring at the girl who was orange. That was like a majority of our content. So
never get over that.
It was so fun though. But I have high expectations, everyone. So I don't think this is going to be the case since there's so many options out there, but I'm really hoping that Ellie and I secretly picked the same costume because that would be amazing. But we'll see. We both have ours picked out. No way. And it'll be good. I
have a review of the week, but on that note, please like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We're at L.A.M.E Book Club Pod, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to us. And so with that being said, here is the review of the week. It is from Ivory Dove Writing Reviews. I like that name.
Thank you.
Titled Friendship, Laughter, and Books. It is 5 stars. They say, I've been listening to Melissa and Ellie for a few months now, and I just really enjoy their witty banter as they discuss books and theories. It's amusing to hear their different takes as they often disagree with each other, and it's fun to hear them work through it. Do we work through it, or do we just let it go to the wind?
I don't think we work through it. One of us just folds. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord. Okay. They make all my mundane tasks like housework and cooking feel as though I'm just hanging out with friends. They always make me laugh. Their selection of books has been great. Then they threw in a book request, which, hey, join the Patreon. We have a write in your request.
That's so true. We do.
We might do it. So that's that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivory Dove. I already forgot. Ivory Dove Writing Reviews.
Yes, thank you, Ivory Dove
Writing
Reviews. Oh my goodness, I love that. And before we jump on in, Ellie, you dressed for the occasion today.
I did. This is the sweater that I'm wearing whilst waiting for my other sweater to be sent by Melissa.
Move on. We're talking about the one on your body.
This is from the Bean Workshop. It matches my Kingdom. We're in Kingdom of Ash.
Ellie,
and
that's
I'm
why I
wearing
said
Kingdom of Ash.
That's why I said you dressed for the occasion.
I just thought you meant like the Bean Workshop in general, but I did.
No.
I did. It's kind of a spoiler. Don't look at my sweater.
Well, if you haven't read the entire series, don't look at it. But if you have, it's cute.
I'll be a crisscross from here on.
Yeah.
But basically, I love to match my books. And so if you like to match your books or just want some spooky booky clothing, the Bean Workshop has the cutest merch right now. And you can have 10% off using the code L.A.M.E Book Club Pod. Or you can go to our Instagram and we have a link in our bio that you can click and your 10% will already be applied. So that's that.
All right. I did not dress for the occasion today, but I am wearing bookish merch. I am wearing my Basgiath War College.
I love that.
So
love it.
Go listen to our Fourth Wing and Iron Flame episodes if you haven't already. Shameless plug for us. All right. Well, with that, are you ready, Ellie, to jump into week 3 of Kingdom of Ash?
Yes. Let's talk about the kingdom and the ash.
Excellent. All right. Starting with chapter 41, Aelin. Oh my gosh.
What a way to start.
What a terrible.
So bold, too. There was no stutter on that. It was just Alien.
Oh my. I'm so concerned for the rest of this episode. Whew. All right. A moment of silence for me. All right. Chapter 41. Aelin. And you know why? I'm sorry. I'm already stopping. The reason I said alien is because I was so focused on saying comrades because I wrote that out. And I don't know why I wrote that out, but the word freaked me out looking at it. And so I was looking at that and that's why I said alien. I just was not even paying attention. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Back, you guys got context you didn't need. And here we go. Round 3. Aelin and her comrades reach the sea, disembark on the coast.
I would have lost my mind if you messed up on comrades there. All right. They disembark on the coast. Keep going.
Thank you. And they travel by foot to the nearest port where Aelin sends letters to Aelin and, oh my gosh, Adian and Lysandra. The group buys passage on a ship sailing for Terrasen. Aelin hesitates to trust Lorcan. Fearing that he'll lose Elide otherwise, Lorcan swears the blood oath to Aelin so that he may be welcome in Terrasen without her fearing another betrayal. What did you think? Do you remember how you felt when reading that? Like when Lorcan swore the blood oath to her?
It seemed like kind of a simpy move in my opinion. Like I just wasn't impressed, I think. Are we surprised?
No.
Yeah, like just like I'll do anything. I don't know. I was mad at him. Like, you know how I said earlier that I just needed to point the blame somewhere? It was at Lorcan, and I was still kind of mad at him. So now that he's like, I'll just do anything to be on everybody's good side, I'll swear the blood oath. I just was like, I don't know. I know that he's recognizing that Aelin is the powerhouse that is right. Like, she should be followed rather than Maeve or Erewhon. But I don't feel like he was in it for her or for the cause. I feel like he was just in it for Elide. You know what I mean?
That's the only cause he needs. It's true love, Ellie.
Yeah, but like it's okay. I'm gonna just really sound like my dad.
No.
Love is not all you need.
Oh my goodness.
Because
take it back.
You need to believe in what you are fighting for, especially if you're gonna swear a blood oath. Because what if Aelin just is like, never mind, I am evil. Then he's tied for life.
I mean, he's not in a worse position than he was in, a few weeks, a couple months before. Like,
yes, absolutely
right.
But he also didn't need to like swear a blood oath at all. He could have just been like, just I'll work on it. You can.
No
like
one
any of
trusts
us humans, any of us normies. If someone doesn't trust you, what do? You just become trustworthy. You just work on your loyalty. Yeah, like, well, no.
I have so many blood oaths, Ellie. I'm just kidding. No one trusts him from his own actions, and I love that he admits that. He's not placing blame anywhere else. He owns it. But this is at least in this world, in the rules that Sarah has written for this story, swearing a blood oath is the biggest gesture of trust that you can give to someone. And so quite literally, honestly, like it's the only thing he can think to do to show not just Aelin and everyone else, but mostly Elide, that he's sorry and that he really means it. Like he's gonna fight for her and for the cause and for everything Elide believes in because he believes in her.
See, and I agree with that. Like hearing that from you, I'm like, I like it. But when I read it in the book, I did not pick up that Lorcan fully wanted to be on board with Aelin's cause as much as he just loved Elide and wanted to prove to her that he could be trusted again. And so for me, that wasn't enough reason to swear your life away to someone else.
But that's what I just said. He did it for Elide.
It's different.
What?
You said that he did it because he recognized his fault, so he wanted to prove to Aelin and her comrades that he also could be trustworthy.
That's
but
not
mostly
what I said.
For Elide.
Okay, yes, yes.
Here's one where one of us needs to fold.
And it's you. Because I will die on this hill. No, I did say that it was a little bit for them, but it was mostly for Elide and for what she believes in because he believes in her. That was like 98% of why he did it.
And it's not enough.
It's enough.
It's not enough. If you're gonna
never.
Funny enough, when I went to the grocery store today, a lady was playing her violin outside that song.
Wow. That song specifically?
That song. And if you know anything about no one should know this, but I live in a very rural area, very rural. So the fact that anyone was playing any violin outside of a grocery store was that's like insane out here. So
all right, well, moving on. The group plans to use the remaining 2 weeks of their journey on the ship to train and strategize. Dorian shapeshifts into a Vogue to infiltrate the Farian Gap, where he finds Petra and 300 Iron Teeth, but none of their elderly matron leaders. Manon requests an audience with the witches and reveals why she and the 13 abandoned the Iron Teeth. Manon's grandma, the Blackbeak matron, plans to abolish the Blue Blood and Yellow Leg clans, grant the Blackbeak clan supremacy, and rule over all Iron Teeth as their High Queen. Manon's second-in-command, Astrid, reveals what Manon's grandma did to her, and I don't really want to talk about it, but I'm just going to say the burning of her and her, like, marking her body, branding her, and burning her baby. Like, that's ugh. I don't care. I know that we know that witches are raised to not have feelings or hearts and to be killers and machines, essentially, especially Iron Teeth. But I legitimately don't understand how anyone could listen to what happened to their fellow sister, whether they are in the same clan or not, a coven or not, and be like, wow, I'm still gonna follow these people. Like, that is wild, because it goes beyond just doing terrible things. It's doing terrible things to one of your own. And I'm like, if she's willing to do that to not just another witch in general, but her niece, because Manon and her are cousins, so in some way, shape, or form, she's family. Who's to say she wouldn't do that to literally anyone else? Like, that sucks, and not someone I would want to follow.
Human, me, Ellie, personally, totally agree.
Well, we are human readers.
Fantasy-minded, I get it. Because, like you said, like, they were raised, they were born, they were bred to be heartless. Their pride and joy was in being the most cold-blooded and the most brutal and the most heartless. And Astrid received that punishment because she did what in the witch's eyes was wrong. And so those that are brainwashed are probably looking at them saying, well, I wouldn't do that because I'm cold-hearted and I would never go off and be with a human male and whatever. Like, that just wouldn't happen to me. So that's probably where they're like, so I can still follow. You know, the brainwashing runs deep.
I hate that you're right, but
it's just the book.
I'm human,
it's just
and
the book,
I'm
man. I hate it too.
Manon proposes a Croc and Iron Teeth alliance, which she hopes will break the curse, preventing the witches from returning to their homeland in the Western Wastes. She invites the Blue Bloods to join her in the fight against Erewhon and leaves with the offer still hanging. Aelin has nightmares of her captivity. She resents the gods who require her to sacrifice her life to forge the lock. Storms force the ship to temporarily dock in South Aurelia, where Aelin continues training and teaches her comrades word marks.
So, real quick, at this point, were you thinking about any way that Aelin could get out of this, like obviously in my mind, I'm like, she's a main character. She's not going to die. So how could she get out of this? And I was coming up short. I just had no ideas.
Yeah, I was
like, she has to die. And then I was feeling anxiety for her. So I'm like, there's no way out.
Well, Dorian is a way out, actually, because he's also of the same line. And
in the last 20 chapters, he even said, I would take the place of Aelin. Like, I need to figure this out while she was in captivity.
There you go.
That's the one.
But also, I really thought, well, I don't know. At this point, I was thinking that's where it was going, because with Dorian doing something, because to me, all signs are pointing in that direction at this point in the story, because we know it's been mentioned more than once that Dorian is also able to sacrifice himself and to forge the lock. He currently has 2 of the word keys in his possession, and he is on quite the self-sacrificing mission. He seems like he's given up hope, but not in the same way as he had before when he was possessed by the Vogue. That was just like depressing. He just wanted to die. This one was like, I am never going to matter as much as Aelin does. Like, she has Rowan, she has her kingdom, and like, I have mine, but mine, like, no one knows what's going on with that, and I've never really been a ruler.
So tricky about being a reader, being so tricky. Is that you read the book like a reader. And so rather than being in the footsteps of someone who's dealing with that in the exact situation in that exact moment, like if you were Dorian or if you were Aelin, you don't see the future. But being the reader, you see Aelin's got a lot more potential out of this entire story than Dorian does. So he's most likely to be the one on the chopping block. However, I actually, at this point in the story, was thinking the opposite. I really was like, Aelin is so self-sacrificing. She's the first one to jump on the chopping block and be like, I'll kill myself before anybody else has to die. And
That's
so
true.
I really saw this ending as if she was going to be, I thought she was going to be the martyr. Like she was going to end her life. And this book would basically be in remembrance of her and what she did for her kingdom.
Yeah. I totally see that thought process. I think
anyone for Dorian, because from the beginning, Dorian's been her close friend. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. They both of them, I think out of every single character in this book, that both of them are the two that are like, no, take me first. Like, and
right,
so
yeah.
That's why it's kind of hard to analyze it if you're just looking at their characters and their characters' personalities, because they're pretty similar in that way.
Yeah.
So that's why I was trying to not focus on that quite as much, because I knew if it came down to volunteering, both of them would have their arms up in a heartbeat. So that's why, like, I was looking at other things that I was thinking about, like, okay, well, who actually has the word keys to be able to do this? Like, who actually has a lot more going on in theory? You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's why it was making me think that.
You know what Dorian, this conversation reminds me of?
What?
Remember in Endgame when
I should have known you were going to talk about Marvel.
Of course. When Black Widow and Hawkeye are like racing to the end, like to self-sacrifice, and who is going to kill themselves first so that they can save the other. And that's what this reminds me of.
Maybe that's why I was thinking it has to be Dorian. Because I guess, spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, but also not really, it came out like 15 years ago. Not really, but a long time ago. I mean, really, when it came down to it, she did it because he had a family. And while Aelin didn't have kids yet,
she has Rowan.
She has Rowan. She has her kingdom. Like, she's significantly closer to being at that step. And Dorian acknowledges that multiple times to himself. Like,
yeah. Well, and again, as the reader, we see her potential is so much. She has so much more going on.
Yes,
but
she just has more going on.
Storyline wise, not like real people, like, oh, he wouldn't have them, but like actual storyline, what's happening in the plot.
Exactly.
He does not have enough going on. He doesn't have a true love. He doesn't have like the potential of possible kids in the future, where we just saw a vision of Aelin with her children. Like, you
4 children
away
and
from
pregnant.
Me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like he has, like, there's obviously something going on between him and Manon right now. It's not like he has nothing. But just
it's not like a mated bond. It's not this
like,
deep thing we just read for 8 books with Aelin and Rowan. So
fated mates with secret marriages, and like they have so much more history. Like,
they have it going on. They have so many more tropes.
Oh my goodness, exactly. All right. Well, moving on to Anielle. The battle has been raging in Anielle for 5 days, but Westfall Keep still stands. Hussar arrives with additional cavalry and foot soldiers. Chaol fights on the battlefield while Yrene heals the injured. Aedion and his armies retreat to Orynth. The soldiers are unhappy about the lack of Aelin's fire, believing their queen has abandoned them. Aedion's armies cross from the Frozen River, with Morath's forces following close behind. The Whitethorn Fae temporarily unfreeze the river, drowning a small portion of Morath's forces. Lysandra shifts into Aelin on the battlefield, raising morale again. Aedion runs to Lysandra, certain that she will not survive fighting against the trained soldiers. Lysandra suffers significant blood loss from the battle injuries, but manages to hold her own long enough to persuade fleeing soldiers to return. A witch tower arrives with witches, weapons, and the witch tower is a weapon capable of amplifying the yielding. And surprise, surprise, one witch commits the yielding, destroying 4,000 soldiers in Aedion's army in one fell swoop. And
we need a pause.
You know exactly what I'm going to bring up, don't you?
I don't. I was going to go off on my own thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you've listened to what I think it was like 2 book club episodes ago now, you'll know that Ellie thinks that 10,000 people is not a lot for an army. So Ellie was probably
not a fantasy army.
Ellie was like, this is chump change. You lost 6 people. Move on. I bet.
Oh, so close. Actually, I was going to say, I'm going to be so for real. I know the book talked up the towers, but in my mind, I'm not picturing it. Like, it's essentially a bomb, right? Like, we can all agree.
I'm so glad you brought this up because pictured the wimpiest looking tower as well.
Yes. And then I'm like, how are they carrying the towers? That seems weird. Are they rolling them in?
Yes,
it
in
just
my mind,
seems
they
odd
were.
to me. And then they placed them. And then I'm like, these massive stone towers that somehow they magically rolled in on wheels, put one witch in there with some mirrors, have her commit the yielding, and it explodes. I'm thinking the bomb's not going to be that big. But on the contrary of what you said, I was like, oh, shoot, 4,000 people with one witch? That's a lot. But that's so kamikaze because
It is so
I was just like, how many witches are they going to convince to kill themselves for this?
I mean, if 1 equals 4,000, they'd only need a handful more. So it's not like they need too many.
I know.
But no,
yikes.
so back to the tower, because I hope everyone else pictured this the same way I did. And it sounds like you might have as well. I pictured a really tall, skinny, movable tower. And to me, the mirrors were on the inside, not the outside.
Oh, the mirrors were on the inside for me. I never even thought the mirrors could be on the outside.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's how it was described, so I think that's why. I'm forgetting like the exact description now, but the mirrors were on the inside, except cannot tell you why. It's just the way my little itty bitty brain works. The back of the mirrors, aka the outside of the tower, is like, what is that material? Wicker. It was like wicker, but also like a yellow on like it was giving like Tiki Room in Disneyland vibes for me. And again, not really sure why this was the way I pictured it, because I'm 100% positive it's not how it was described, but I pictured it on the back of like a wooden cart wagon with not just wheels, stone wheels, like cavemen.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Well, yeah, the only logical explanation. I don't know where any of that came from, but that's how I pictured it. And like they like
your glorious
swayed.
brain is where. Let me tell you something.
The towers like moved as they were like walking with it. Because
have you ever watched the series of unfortunate events, the Jim Carrey one?
I've seen clips of it, but not really.
So there's like an eye up in the tallest tower that he moves around, and it causes fires to start because it's got a magnifying glass. It causes fires to start wherever he points that eye if the sun beams just right, but it bounces off like 10 mirrors before it hits the eye, and then the magnifying glass can move. That's how I kind of was picturing the mirrors. Also mixed with the tower that looked like from the Sword of the Stones, where like Archimedes lives up in the little rickety thing. It's shaking during a storm, you know?
Yep.
That's
probably, truthfully, that's probably a lot more accurate.
The towers were lost on me, to be absolutely honest.
They were so lost on me,
I didn't like that. Maybe a different weapon, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
I liked the idea of it. I thought it was really unique, like having a tower full of mirrors and then mixed with a person filled with power who's sacrificing themselves to, like, I thought the idea of it was really cool. But I wish, and this is so stupid, I just wish it was something else, because it really bothered me that it was a witch tower and Yrene is Yrene Towers. I was like, this is it, and I'm probably the only person that had an issue with that. Like I acknowledge that. I recognize it.
Would you have a problem if the cadre started eating like a lot of salads, like a lot of kale? Would you like have an issue with that too?
Only if it was specifically kale salads. If they're just eating like leafy greens, it's not close enough to me. But
fair enough.
Also, probably not, because it's kale.
I know we've probably tired this subject, but one more thing.
If
If they would have just been like a witch herself would explode, then I would have been sold enough to be like, yeah, that would devastate about 4,000 people in the surrounding area. Where she lost me truly is rolling the witch towers in. I cannot picture transporting
so mundane.
This giant, it just is not, I gotta believe it, and I don't believe that. Okay. Chapters 46, 47.
48, close. 48. Kale and Yrene meet with Nezrin, Sartak, and Hussar to discuss battle strategies. This is good, you guys. Meanwhile, Aelin and her comrades, who got word of a battle in Anielle days ago, make haste towards the city. They walk in on the meeting where Aelin joyfully reunites with Chaol and then also recognizes Yrene from a brief encounter years ago. It was incredible, the scene. It had me giggling and kicking my feet, and it wasn't even romance. It was just so pure, and I loved it. I was so excited for Yrene and Aelin to finally reconnect and to recognize one another, and for her to be able to talk like, you did this for me, and I was able to train all these healers, and like, I
props to Sarah too for holding off on bringing some of these characters back until the very end, because in my opinion, if I don't know if she had the plan, but if I had the plan to bring these characters back, you could not count on me to wait until book 8, the final of the series, to reconnect these characters. You'd see it in like book 2.5. I couldn't restrain myself. Yeah.
That's so true. That's same with me. That's why I'm like, I have a really hard time with Christmas, and hear me out, this will come around, because I love gift giving, and I fiscally want to start buying gifts as early as possible, so that it's not like dropping tons of money all at once in December.
Yep.
But if I buy things too early, I get too excited and I can't wait. And then I just give them to people before Christmas. And then I'm like, well, what do I do now? Spend more money that I didn't need to spend so they have something open? Or just be like, I'm sorry, you don't have anything to open on Christmas because I couldn't wait and made you open it in October.
Happy Halloween, wearing your like weird costume, handing it to them.
Happy Holla, thanks, miss. It's all of it in one.
I don't blame you. 1 year, my first year married ever, for Christmas, we could not wait to give each other our gifts. That we opened our gifts December 3rd, and on actual Christmas Day, yeah, I know. On actual Christmas Day, we had nothing to do because everything is closed and none of our family lived around us yet. And so we were just home alone, and I watched The Grinch one time and then fell asleep for the rest of the day. It was the worst Christmas I have ever.
Did it teach you to hold your horses and wait until Christmas to open presents?
It really did. We really learned the hard way.
All right. Well, Aelin meets Lysandra's uncle, Falcon, and recognizes him as the merchant she crossed paths with years ago in the Red Desert. Again, another not meet cute, but just blast from the past.
Yeah.
The group from the southern continent shares their recent findings with Aelin, such as the fact that the Stygian spiders are Vogue, and so is Maeve. Nesrin explains the history of the Vogue, which matches the story that Maeve told Aelin in her illusions. Nesrin also reveals that Yrene has found a way to rid Vogue parasites without killing their hosts. In turn, Aelin shares the details of her 2 months in captivity with Maeve. Elide is disgusted that Lorgan ever admired Maeve. Aren't we all, girlfriend? My goodness. She tells him that she doesn't care whether he makes it off of tomorrow's battlefield. That one. They got me.
Yep.
Manon the 13 and Dorian return.
Wait. But don't we all say things? Don't we all, as girls and boys, say things sometimes that we're like, that was not my best work? Like sometimes I know I'm already like, I've dug a pit, or like I'm super angry with Grant, and then I will just swing the final blow because I just know it'll hit home. Do you know?
I hate to say yes, but I do.
But yes. And I know if you're listening, you say yes too. I know we all relate to that. Sometimes you just have to, you don't mean it. Like, I know my girl Elide does not mean it. We all know that. No, we know.
No, I know, I'm kidding. But like, he did her so dirty. And
he so did.
And even though it was mostly an accident.
That's exactly why. Like, it's not even been so dirty, and I've gone to these extremities. But like, when they do you so wrong, and you say things that you definitely don't mean, but you know, like, this will cut.
Yeah.
There's something about it. It feels so good.
Oh my gosh, you're the worst. But I understand, because I too am the worst. No,
I know. Just kidding.
I know. I think it's just hard from a reader to read this. Because it's like watching people fight in front of you. It's uncomfortable for everyone. And so it's like, it's just like, please stop. Mom and Dad, please stop.
Take a page out of my book whenever anybody even lightly fights around us, when they're like, oh, I thought you said you bought that. Oh, you didn't. Okay. Like, just like that simple, like, itty bitty bickering. We always are like, don't break up, you guys. Stay together.
I know. I've been on the receiving end of that all the time.
Yeah.
I'll be literally like, hey, Zeke, I don't know. I don't think I want that for dinner tonight. And they'll be like, guys, don't end it over this. And I'm like, stop.
It's my favorite.
Right. Manon, the 13, and Dorian return to the Krakens to await the Iron Teeth's answer. Dorian practices flying in Raven form so that he can infiltrate Morath. 2 days later, Lysandra wakes up in a tent with Aelin, who informs her that they yielded to Pranth to Morath's armies and are currently retreating to Orynth. The soldiers witnessed, quote-unquote, Aelin shift back into Lysandra while injured, so they now know that Aelin is not among them and hasn't been among them. Aelin apologizes for his hostility towards Lysandra, but she is not yet ready to forgive him for the humiliation his public resentment caused her. And good on you, Lysandra. He didn't deserve to get off that easily. Honestly, the way he treated her, and I know he's going through some things and he's dealing with stuff, but I identified with her and there was no excuses.
No, we're talking about the snow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did we talk about that? Did we talk about it last week?
Not exclusively.
Well, this is referring, of course, to the infamous snow scene where Aelin threw her out naked in the snow. And I don't know about you, but it snows where I live. And well, I do know about you. It does not snow where you live. And I, last season, thought, oh, this would be fun. Let's go out into the snow in our underwear and do a snow angel just real quick. Just because who can say they've done that? That's just a fun thing to do, I guess. It wasn't fun. Plot twist.
I was just saying. Survey says
had
it wasn't.
Undies on. I can only imagine if my biddies were cold.
Oh my gosh. If my biddies were cold.
And
That's
also,
amazing.
like, the person you love the most, you're trying to, I think she was apologizing, and he just throws her out. That is humiliating, and that is horrible and heart-crushing. Truly, that sealed the deal for me. It doesn't matter what he did after that. No forgiveness. Dead. Dead to me.
Darrow reaches the army and strips Aelin of his rank as General of the Bane for disobeying his original orders to retreat to Orynth. Aelin is now only a measly soldier. Darrow threatens to execute Lysandra if she shifts into Aelin's form again and confiscates the Sword of Orynth from Aelin's possession. The army is trapped by Morath's forces and is in retreat to Orynth. I also just, like, at this point, remember feeling like I was like, there has got to be a way out, but like it just is looking so bleak. Like, every chapter we read about Aelin and like what's going on with the Bane and Lysandra and everything up north.
And it's not good.
I think I'm like, it literally can't get any worse than this. And then I read into the chapter and I'm like, holy crap, it got worse than that. Like, I didn't think it was possible, but here we are. Like, Aelin getting ripped of his rank and the sword being taken away from him wasn't even on my radar. And then it happened. And I'm
it
like,
was
my
already
guy,
bad enough.
My guy cannot catch a break. I mean, I know he's asked for it with a lot of this, but like, that's like kicking a horse when it's down. Like, I still don't want to read about this either.
Also, I know this is maybe like selfish of me, but if I was part of the A team, which is Aelin and Rowan and, you know, that little group right now, Fenris. I think that it would be of the utmost importance to send someone back to let Lysandra and Aelin know that Aelin, they got her. Like, I know Rowan doesn't want to leave her side. I sure wouldn't. But I think it's super important that they should have sent someone back to let them know, like, we are coming back. We got her. Don't worry. So that you could at least come up with, you know, encouraging the entire fleet of soldiers that are fighting for you.
Yeah.
Outside of faking it till you make it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think I realize like word by Raven is not really a thing in this world that Sarah has created, but because I'm pretty sure if it hasn't, I can't remember like specifically, if it hadn't happened already, it's going to happen very quickly, and this really isn't like a major spoiler, but they at one point discuss what that would look like. And yes, while part of the reason they don't is because, like you said, like no one wants to like break up since they finally just got back together, but it's also because one person going alone, like if you also think about what's going on, Morath has significantly larger armies and more numbers, and one person by themselves, one, it's snowing like crazy, they're not going to go very quickly, like, and realistically by the time the whole group is traveling, like maybe they'd make it there like a day or two earlier, and two, if they were to get caught, like it's game over. And so I remember them having that conversation at one point throughout this book somewhere, because I did think that too, but I don't know. I think like hearing them explain the reasonings, for like not doing it, I'm like, what's the difference in them knowing a couple days earlier versus when the army would show up? And then also like, what would that one person, like, they don't know how terrible things are for the other group, but we do. Absolutely. And so it's like, that wouldn't have even made that much of a difference, I don't think.
It's incredible to me how much magic is in this world, but communication state to state is not further along. Best. It's
non-existent, really. If you're not like
not even carrier pigeons,
if you're not with the person or like leaving them a message like Manon did way back when in Queen of Shadows, that's
in
it.
Blood on a wall. That you're not getting the message.
So far in this entire series, those are the two ways you can communicate.
That's bananas.
It is so bananas. I feel like in every series that she writes, there's always one, it's not even a plot hole, it's just like one element of the world that she's created where I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think to improve this? Like, that wouldn't have changed the storyline of this book. I guess it would have changed it a little bit. I don't know. It wouldn't have changed like so drastically to the point where it's like, no, not worth it. We shouldn't add it.
Yeah.
But like, just being able to like, hey, I don't know, sonic boom your voice to the other person, but like,
or like in ACOTAR, they had the ability to speak mind to mind. That's really not a case here. And in Crescent City, they did have cell phones, and that's obviously not the case here. Yeah. So it's just very interesting that this is the one series where they're like, no communication across state borders. Sorry.
Not even across state borders. Like, if we're not within hearing
neighboring
distance,
houses.
Yes, like that's it.
No cup
You're
at
gonna
the
have
string. You have to yell.
That's it. You don't get to know until we're in closer range.
Yeah. Crazy.
Aelin meets Kale's father, and the encounter does not go well, to say the least. The two despise one another. When Aelin and her comrades have privacy, Elide asks who will rule Dornell once Maeve is gone. They realize that Aelin, as a direct descendant of the former Queen Mab, is the only one with an undisputed claim to the throne. Aelin, however, does not want the throne, and would rather it go to one of the descendants of Mora, another Fae Queen. And isn't Mora is the line that Rowan is from, correct?
Don't ask me, dude. I'm
pretty sure.
No.
Dorian shifts into one of the witches for practice. Manon won't ask him not to go to Morath, but he knows that she fears him for him regardless. The Krakens pack up camp to return to their home hearth, but are interrupted by the arrival of the 3 Iron Teeth matrons. And Ellie, this is when things went bananas for me. I did not see this coming at all. And let's talk about it. The Yellowlegs matron wears the Kraken crown of stars in mockery. The nerve. Manon fights to defend the Krakens, killing the Yellowlegs matron. Everyone says amen. And to steal back the crown. I loved it also too, like she literally just did it to get the crown back, and the pettiness level is exactly where I need it to be from every character.
Yeah.
Manon allows the Blueblood matron to live as a gesture of goodwill to her daughter Petra. The final matron, aka Grandmama, flees. Glennis crowns Manon the Queen of Witches, and the Krakens and the 13 all kneel before her. And that sent full body chills reading this.
I loved it.
Loved it so much.
I think I was a little bit disappointed because not with this like plot line at all, but with the reaction from Manon's grandmama, how prior to like when they were on her turf, when they were in Morath,
exactly,
and she like ripped Manon apart near death, and here she wasn't even willing to put up a fight. She just dipped, and that seemed out of character for me. So I didn't love the inconsistency.
That is that is perfectly in line with her character because she's a weenie hut junior, and the reason she did it back in they were in Morath still when that happened. Is because she knew she had the full support of all the witches behind her. But here, she was, at this point, the Yellow Legs matron's dead. The Blue Blood matron is alive, but has sworn allegiance, essentially. Not really, but I mean, she's only alive because Manon is allowing her to be, and she's not about to stand up and fight with her. And everyone else, like, wants her head on a spike. So she's like, there's no way out of this for me. I'm going to pretend like it doesn't bother me and just dip. Like, what a loser. And that is, to me, was perfectly in line with all of the shady stuff that she has pulled.
I think, truthfully, I just wanted to see her die as well. And so the fact that she ran, I was like...
It was disappointing.
Hot dang. We were so close. Stay behind what you stand for. And
grow a
and
pair.
Die.
And die.
Grow a pair.
I was very ready for that, too. And I can't tell if I was disappointed that it didn't happen here or not, or just excited for the moment that I'm assuming it's eventually coming.
You knew it was coming, yeah.
Well, it has to come at some point.
It
like,
had
this
to be
lady
dragged out a little.
Sarah barely kills anyone, but I feel like this is a character that will get her just desserts. So if it's not now, it's going to be later.
Just desserts.
Rowan begins to worry about Aelin since she has not showcased her fire powers since the night that they rescued her. Aelin and her comrades raid the keep's treasury for armor and weapons. Rowan and the others leave Aelin behind to join the battle against Morath. However, when she finally arrives in brilliant gold armor, she wields only a sword, not her power. I remember feeling concerned too at this point because we've seen in the past that if she doesn't use her power every once in a while and get like that like release from it, it like builds up and she like her body like freaks out. And I was, as the reader, I remember being like, okay, we've seen this before and it doesn't end well. But even Aelin is keeping us, the readers, out from like what's happening here internally. And we're also like, we are Rowan in this case. We're like, you do something.
You okay?
You need,
yeah,
like talk to me. Show me your power. Like, you've got to be.
It
dying.
Was so fun.
Like,
it was fun watching everybody else flounder in like their. I don't know what Aelin's doing.
Exactly.
Oh no, she pulled one over.
Fun.
But it's not fun being the one having it pulled over on.
Exactly. I don't want to say I empathize with Adian, but I got it.
I'd choose anybody else in the cadre before
I'm
him.
Kidding. I'm kidding. He's not in the cadre.
Yeah, but I would choose anyone else in the cadre
before
him.
I see what you're saying. Nesrin and Sartak spot Morath soldiers attempting to break Anielle's dam, which will flood the entire plain, killing everyone in its path. They fly rooks to destroy the battering ram, which has already cracked the dam's foundations. Lorcan plunges into the battlefield on foot to protect the keep's front gates. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was so concerned at this point. I'm like, if he dies, I'm gonna flip. Like, I will lose it if he self-sacrifices just to show Elide that he loves her or whatever, is like
not
doing
a
this
piece
for her.
of me was scared here. Not a piece of me. I was like, there's no way he dies. I read this section with so much confidence.
That was so fitting because every piece of me was concerned.
I might have been too confident.
He's charged by 10 Vogue soldiers and is stabbed in the gut with the sword. Were you still confident now, Ellie?
Too confident.
Sartak and Nezrin urge soldiers to evacuate the plains before the cracked dam breaks. If they do not escape, most of the army will be lost. When Lorcan...
I loved this. I loved this. I loved
it was good.
that there was so much happening on the battlefield. Your mind is spinning reading all of these descriptions of all of this fighting happening, and they're great fight scenes. But then there's the looming threat that the dam is going to break, and everyone's going to get killed, and they need to get out of there. There's no saving this. Oh, it was so good. And there was a timeline, like there was a countdown. You got to get out of there now. So good.
They're all waiting, and like they're waiting to close the gates because Lorcan hasn't shown up. And when he does not return to the keep, Elide realizes what's truly important. And Ellie, it is love. Okay?
It is love.
I know what you said earlier. It is everything. So she steals Kale's horse and rides onto the plains to search for him. Elide locates Lorcan. She locates Lorcan on the battlefield, still alive despite his extensive wounds. And so then I didn't realize.
I was so confident.
I had been holding my breath this whole time, and I finally released it.
Yeah.
But they race to the keep's gate before the dam breaks. And that is where we end for today. See, this is where, I mean, it's like, it's not a cliffhanger, but it's like,
that was a good spot to end.
I just want the resolution. No, it wasn't.
No, it is. It is a cliffhanger because you don't know what's going to happen. And it's right in the middle of the battle scene. It is. By my definition, we are hanging on a cliff. Tune in next week to see if we make it over or plunge to our deaths. Bye.
Goodbye. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys liked this episode. Next week, we will be diving into chapters 61 through 80 for part 4 of our Kingdom of Ash series. And like we mentioned earlier, if you don't already, please follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe. All the things. Join our Patreon on October 2nd next week when it launches. We have some fun bonus content for you.
Next week!
Vote for our new series, what you want us to go over next. We're super excited for what that will entail. And we just thank you guys so much for being here. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy doing these each week with you, and we love all your feedback. So keep it coming. And yeah, have a great rest of your week, everyone. Join us on Monday.
Bye, everybody.
For Hot Goss.
Hot Goss.
Bye.